Hi friends, today let's understand about intertemporal choices. Before starting this, I wanted to tell you something that I'm going to continue this series of solving questions related to ISI exams. Basically, I will start with all ISI previous year questions, IIT JAM questions, and rest of the questions in order to uh, understand the level or the extent or the depth of those questions along with the concepts. Before starting with the questions, I will start with few related concepts in intertemporal choices. First thing is, what is intertemporal choice? It's nothing but allocating resource. In this case, it's not resource, but it's how you are managing your wage or wealth or the income you are earning. Basically, you have two time periods, T1 and T2. Consumer will consume in both time periods. That is, in time period 1, I will call it as consumer 1. Same consumer, but he is consuming in time period 1. That's why it's called as C1, means consumption in T1, and C2 means consumption in T2. And we'll talk about W1 and W2. These are, W1 is wage or income earned in T1. W2 is income earned in T2. Okay, this is a basic understanding. But obviously, a person will is going to have his utility. Now, in this case, let's assume that here it's let's assume that only one good he or she is consuming, because we are talking about collective consumption here, right? C1 at first period and C2 at second period. So we are optimizing this C1 and C2. All right, it's a function. So the function is C1 and C2. And how is that going to happen is a question now. In the XY plane, we'll talk about C1 and C2, and this is the consumption graph. Now, total money he has, W1 plus W2, that he needs to spend by consuming C1 and C2. So this C1 is nothing but, what is C1 at this point? Whatever the wealth he has. If you are talking about only one period wealth, that will be W1. Yeah, that will be W2. That's the maximum he can consume it, right or wrong? But in between somewhere, we find similar to the indifference curve how we used in which case in maximizing case of someone's utility. The same thing happens here also. We are maximizing his consumption in two periods, right? Now, if you form a, let's assume that there are a few other cases here. If a person is there and he is consuming in period 1, but instead if he says something in period 1 and he takes it to period 2, he is going to earn interest rate, that's R. We'll consider that also. Now, in second period, T2, C1 will become C1 plus RC1. Why? This is the interest earned on C1. Right. Or if we talk about C2 actual value in C1 or the time 1, it will be nothing but C2 divided by 1 plus R. Why? Because a person, sorry, the value of this money at T1 is nothing but this much, right? Future amount will be always less. Other, if he has like 100 rupees in like next year, that 100 rupees has less value in present. Maybe the 91 in the present is equals to 100 in the future. By considering interest rate and everything, we'll get to this point, right? Okay, these are few things about intertemporal choices. And when we form a consumption maximizing equation, it looks like this: C1 plus C2 dot 1 plus R. Similarly, the same thing happens with wage also, W2 divided by 1 plus R. And there is one more thing called as discount factor. What is this means? This means there is a person, he is consuming C1, but he is expected to consume in C2 also, but he has this thing called impatience to consume in C2. Now if he is feeling that, or if he values the same thing at a same level in C2, then C2 and C1, like if both are equal, C2 will be equal to C1. If you are talking about like C1 as nothing but C2, or let's take that case as like, suppose there is something in time period 1, that is, just assume that there is a C2, but the satisfaction he is getting from the C2 when he is consuming in time period 2 is not exactly the amount whatever she has or he has. So what happens is, maybe it might reduce. In that case, there is a factor called discount factor. If it is 1, then whatever he is expected to consume has like pure value. If it's less than 1, the meaning is he is valuing it less compared to its original amount. These are few things. Thank you.